Hey, everybody. Joshua Sheridan here with the Barely Legal Podcast.
They demand my alter ego, but I won't go.
We have a return guest, one of our greatest hits, one of my favorite people that I've met in the last year. You can't have a conversation with anybody that knows this guy without hearing he's the nicest guy in the world. So that's quite a feat.
I am mean.
Well,
I'm tough.
Tom DeGeorge stopped by today to give us an update on the state of the union, as it were, in local live music venues, local bars, local restaurants, what have you. He came in. God, I'm trying to think when it was. I think it was in May.
It had to be like early May because I did the thing.
Your mother-in-law had just, was it your mother-in-law or
father-in-law
had
passed away.
Okay. So it was right around that time. You had
right
a lot
around
going.
that time.
You've had a motherfucker of a year.
It's
Jesus.
been a tough year for me in my life.
Is this maybe the toughest in your life?
This is definitely the toughest year of my life.
Well, you've risen to the occasion.
It's been a tough year, and I worry about my wife. You know, she's a school teacher. We're trying to hold on to our sanity as much as we can.
You're in two of the toughest fronts in the world
it's tough,
for this COVID stuff.
We're having a tough year.
And do you have kids?
We don't have kids.
Okay. Well, I mean,
when we had talked about it, when we first got together, I mean, like I said, she's a school teacher. She deals with, I mean, she's going to have close to 18 kids in her classroom this year, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
When you think about it. But normally, you know, she's got, you know, she's a school teacher for this many years. She's got the kids all the time. And then I myself, I think at a certain point in your career, you have to become a mentor to other people and you have to step up in your community. So we always joke that we've got plenty of kids and that when the time comes that we want to retire and you know, go on with our lives, that they're you know, that we never felt that it was really in the cards for us to have our own children because we were so out there in the forefront of trying to help the next generation, you know, as it is. And that was just something that we always agreed about. Now that we're getting older, surprisingly, it has come up again where it's like, did we make a mistake? But I just don't see, our lives are so busy and we put so much on our shoulders that, and Michael Sinclair will tell you that when he followed me around, he was like, dude, you never stop moving forward, you know?
Well, it's true. Anytime I ever call you or email you, you're in the middle of like 10 conversations at once.
Yeah.
So around that time, you were still getting ready for the show that was supposed to be in July. Was it the beginning?
It was June.
End of June.
It was going to be June 20th. And
you had the shirts 27th. Ready. You had everything ready to go.
Shirts are ready. The numbers were
getting better, weren't they?
No, they were going up
were they?
At that point. And I had already, the bars were officially allowed to open June 3rd. I wanted to wait a little bit. I was trying to do it the right way.
We were working on that construction deal and we were trying to get done in time.
And I had even told people privately, I was like, listen, these numbers are going through the roof. There hadn't been any real enforcement leading up to it. I had made a statement with city council saying that I was concerned that the bars were going to get blamed for this. It's in the minutes. We can look it up. We'll find them. And I was saying, you know, hey, you know, what do you think is going to happen when the bars open? So of course the bars open and included nightclubs, which it probably should have never included. And the numbers spiked a bit. And then by June 26th, they had shut everything back down. I had private conversations with people telling them anyway, like, listen, I'm probably going to I want to get this shirt thing off my back. And then after that, I was going to reclose myself anyway, because I was like, how can you fucking do anything right now? We're in the middle of this thing. The numbers are going through the roof. I had thought, even though the governor was like, we will not shut things back down, I thought for certain that they're going to do something. And nothing ever really happened. And now we've gotten locally, at least, local and state level, we've got stuck in this situation where the only thing that's closed is the bars.
Right.
Like
well, it's funny because you occupy me as an attorney. I can identify. No one ever feels sorry for an attorney. No one ever feels sorry for a bar.
Right.
For some, you just hold this. Everybody loves to go there. Everybody needs an attorney, but no one ever feels sorry for you.
Right.
So getting anybody to kind of get behind you or hear your message, you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah.
You know, from the word go. So probably taking this out of order, but I had a question for you, and I'm see if I can word it properly. setting aside the merits of the virus, how deadly it is, how harmful it is, what treatments are working, what aren't. How much of this do you think has to do with an election year and the messages that are being sent?
I mean, the virus itself doesn't. I think to me, that's more on the national level. Like, I definitely think the holdup in the money, like the funding that we need through the National Independent Venue Association in the Save Our Stages Act and that kind of stuff, I think has been a lot of that's being held up because it's being politicized on, I'll give you this, if you give me that, we can do this. So I'm thinking, people are in trouble. Like, we need to get funding to these businesses that are in our industry so we can protect the arts. I mean, it's really, really bad situation.
Well, the reason I ask is Trump's had a shitty couple of months leading into this election. He's got his sister calling him a shifty bastard that can't be trusted. The numbers are not helping him out. Kellyanne Conway just jumping off the ship at the end of the month. And so he had this press conference last night where he was announcing this big new cure. And as I understand it, it's a plasma treatment that they've been doing for a while now, and is no new novel concept. It's just kind of something they've been playing with.
And the hydroxychloroquine also, people are like,
stay away from that.
If you've been prescribed that, which I know people who are taking it, that are like, hey man, I'm taking it. What do I got to lose? And now they're saying,
you got everything to lose. Yeah.
You're going to die if you take this.
Well, so where I'm headed with this is when you came in today, and I didn't even know this, you told me this, that they decided they're going to do football here.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, how much do they need to have something quote unquote positive to happen to kind of change the narrative where they're putting people in harm's way just to have some minor win to
I honestly, as far as the state of Florida, I can't say for certain that I understand anything we're doing or if it's political. I know you could say too that DeSantis his shit is in the toilet right now. And people want football. And he said, people need something to look forward to. They need stuff like that. They also did a study where they, in the dude, Halsey Bashir's, who is, I've talked to everybody. I've basically talked to everybody except for Governor DeSantis and the President of the United States. Other than that, I've talked to in meetings with just about everybody you can imagine. And Halsey Bashir himself was like, it's tough to get the bars open because the bars really have a stigma. People don't like
That's what I'm saying, the stigma.
And I'm like, but you guys gave us the stigma.
Yeah.
I mean, I told him that in the meeting. I was like, yeah, but you gave us the stigma when you said that we weren't safe. And, and the other thing is the enforcement's just not there. If you don't have the enforcement, you can't stop it. So if you just take a certain thing and shut it down because you're not capable of stopping it, or else they don't want to stop it. I mean, that kind of lends to what you're saying too, because I'm sure, and this is something I had said from the very beginning. I'm like, here's a novel idea. Like if you're not compliant, whether you're a restaurant, a bar, whatever, shut it down, pull the liquor license for 30 days. They've barely enforced anything on anybody.
Have you seen anybody get it right anywhere in the country? Like, is there a model to follow?
New York. I mean,
so what is New York doing? How are they handling it?
Well, and I will say this too, on the national, this is just my personal opinion, because on the national level, there are people within NIVA that were really frustrated because they just opened up stuff there.
Right.
And they're at like a 1% positivity rate. And maybe that's a little bit too strict, but let's face it, they went through hell. They were the first hit. Nobody knew how to deal with it. People were dropping dead like flies. They were putting bodies in the ground, no-name bodies in the ground all over the place. And so you can understand that Governor Cuomo, I'm sure, would say, let's be overly cautious about this. But they just started opening up their businesses. But what they said was, listen, you can open, but there's no live entertainment anywhere.
Yeah.
No matter what business you are.
Yeah.
And to me, that helps solve a problem. If you believe that type of activity isn't safe yet, then you have to make sure it's not happening anywhere.
Right.
I'm not saying we need to do that here. but there is a problem when you're saying that. And I, had talked with the mayor about it here, that if you're saying that bars aren't safe, then I just don't see how you can have restaurants that whether they've hosted bands in the past or not, allow them to go full Monty on everything.
Was it you that said it? It's like
the full Monty. You're letting them go buck naked.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, wearing a body condom. Nothing's allowed to touch me.
Was it you that had the quote, there's two guys sitting 6 seats apart at a bar, then another two guys, and one of them has a grilled cheese in her hands. How are they more,
No, it wasn't me, but I get it.
Yeah.
But that is what they said too. The Florida Department of Business Regulation, their argument was that the alcohol, if it's that if there's food available, it'll slow people down. But it's like, listen, dude, we've been doing this for 25 years. If somebody's had too much to drink, we cut them off no matter what. That's what you do. They also had said, well, what do you do if, 200 people show up? That's what a door guy's for.
Yeah.
To me, when we sat down and the talk was, how do we do this the right way? I was like, what do you mean? We got to do
the problem is they have no
that
one up there who comes from that world. So they just have
this image of what's acceptable.
House of ill repute. I mean,
but like I said, they said, listen, and I know that they said this at all the Florida meetings, because I have friends in every area. And what they said was, listen, we just like to have the food there. So if you think you need to get open, if you have to get open, just switch to the Florida license, the Florida restaurant license. It's a 509. And they said that'll make it easy for you if you need to get open now. But I don't know. I'm just having a hard time.
Well, the other problem, like we were talking about, is
just don't see why we should have to do it.
Well, not only that, but you can't even get kind of a unified message on your side of the things, because, you and I have talked privately, and obviously we're friends on social media, and there's these places that have been kind of, not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
You have places that are not doing anything what they're supposed to do. Like I said, it's well documented. A lot of the gentlemen's clubs now, or strip clubs, are basically hosting raves that would have ended up at nightclubs, and they're doing it until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then after that becomes a strip club again.
Right.
If you're not going to close that loophole, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then you have restaurants, reputable establishments that I have nothing against at all, like Ella's and New World Brewery and places like that have brought back local music.
Right.
But in that sense, my concern is that since we haven't got the funding yet, that it screws up the message a little bit, because we're still fighting for this money so we can keep venues going on all around the country. Here in Florida, if you go out on the weekend, it looks like everything's over with.
Yeah.
So when bands have already started playing, and then I sit there and I'm lobbying locally or even statewide, and then the first thing they say is, well, what do you mean? I was at a place the other day and there was a band right there playing. I don't see what the problem is. And I'm going, listen, dude, you don't understand that it's not like this. Trust me, there's states around the country that the same kind of thing's happening, and those business owners in those states have been frustrated with it as well, because it's very hard to say that, we have no way out for this without this funding, when places that were only closed for a month are already hosting live music. It just is. I don't want to say it is what it is, but it does make it extremely more difficult to get the funding we need when that's happening.
Who do you have in the state? Who do you have locally that's an ally? Like, do you have people that, are you just fighting this fight by yourself?
No. I will tell you this, that when we did our Florida Day of Action, I hit up every single NIVA member in Florida, which I think we have a little bit over 100 members. And I hate to say it, but it's the honest to God truth. There wasn't one local business that got on that call here in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. I was pissed. It really hurt my feelings. And
why do you think?
Somebody told me, and it was a kind of compliment I needed, said, hey man, listen, here's the thing. When people see sometimes when you work as hard as you're working, they just feel like you got it covered.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, at least I appreciate that. But, it was tough because that was our day of action. That was our moment that I was waiting for, for our spotlight. And we did a great job with it. We didn't get Marco Rubio to officially endorse the Save Our Stages Act, but we got his office to say, we are going to be involved in whenever negotiations are needed to come up with something for your industry. So we still got our job done. But I didn't get the support locally in that meeting. And then I sent an email out to everybody after that and said, listen, you missed the meeting, but you still have a chance to help. And I did get the support locally, but a lot of it wasn't done the way it was supposed to be because they didn't follow the instructions that were clear in that meeting. People just they didn't understand how it was supposed to work. So we had some problems there too.
It seems to me like, and you probably can just rattle this off, but if you could put a number on the revenue that live music venues generate in a year, how many people they employ, put it in terms that politicians understand about revenue, voters.
You would think,
if you could speak in terms of this is going to ding you in the polls if you don't fix this, or you're gonna see at least a statewide recession if you know. That's the kind of language that they're receptive to.
It depends on who you're talking to. There's been times that when I've approached it, I'm like, okay, this person doesn't even give a shit about live music, but what they will care is about the tourist industry, or they'll care that for every dollar that is spent at a place like mine, there's $12 spent in the community around them. So there's like a wealth of things that after I've researched, I'll research the person a little bit and see what makes them tick, and then try to come up with what my strategy is going to be, or else if I'll pick up on something they say when we're talking, I'll go, okay, this is what makes this person tick. But I don't know. It's weird to me.
So where are we at now? What's next? What's your next goal? What's your next deadline? What's your next meeting?
Right now it's tough because they went into recess or whatever, and now they're back. We did have Chuck Schumer, who was on the Late Late Show. I think it was Friday night, that got up there and said, this is a priority. We have to save these places. That was probably the best endorsement I've seen so far. I was pretty excited about that because he specifically talked about our industry, talked about bars in Brooklyn, talked about the Save Our Stages Act.
So talk about the act for a little bit. Like what is that going to do? How's that going to help? What's the plan there?
Well, the thing is, like, when we have these captain calls, what people need to understand is that just on those calls alone, there's like 54 of us on those calls. And I'd say about a quarter of the people on the call that are the captains for their state are saying, I'm flat broke, man.
Yeah.
Like, the only reason I'm still in my building is because I'm telling my landlord, or looking at my bills and holding them up, saying, listen, just let me wait for this, because if we get this, everything will be fine. I can give you all your back rent. And so that's the thing. That Save Our Stages Act is a $10 billion act. And what it does is it takes it is based completely on the money you've lost, which to me makes perfect sense. So they'll look at I don't remember the exact dates, but maybe it's April to September or something like that.
The BP thing. I don't know. Did you have that?
I didn't get that when I went for it, but this thing looks at what you lost at a time period in 2020 versus what you did in 2018, 2019. Yeah. And then it'll give you a percentage of that to help for your loss in 2020. And it will also, and it's in a grant, so you don't have to pay it back. And if you're still hurting in 2021, you can re-up it in January of 2021.
Right.
So it's it's specifically for the arts. It's specifically for our industry. So we had things in it that certain criterias, like
Applebee's doesn't get all your money.
Applebee's is not going to get the money because in it you have to have a combination of things.
Yeah.
You have to have a sound engineer.
Yeah.
You have to have a soundboard. You have to have lighting. You have to host a certain amount of shows a year.
You can kind of tailor it to what it's meant to do.
It is tailored meant to protect people that do live music on a regular basis for touring artists, not for, Green Iguana, where it's the same band
Surprised
every weekend.
the artists themselves are not out
My
there.
wife just said that the other day.
Because they've got the loudest voice. It seems
honestly, these artists.
Where are you, Bono? I mean, come on.
They've helped. They've helped. A lot of them have stepped up, but honestly, a lot of them could have stepped up a long time ago and said, listen, we're donating. That's where
they make their money.
We're going to donate $1 million to save our stages right now. Because they could go right to the website. And many of them started in little clubs. Almost every, I was telling my wife.
Unless you're American Idol or whatever.
That's what.
Grinded it out.
I was telling Amy the other day that right around Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
That's where after her, you didn't really have to do the clubs anymore. But I can remember when she played at the Ritz Theater.
She played at Green Iguana out there by yeah.
And it's even up to her. So over the past 10 years, it's become more they just found me on the
YouTube.
internet.
Yeah, this YouTube kid
But prior to that, almost all these artists that we look up to started somewhere.
Did you see Perry Farrell? He did the online Lollapalooza this year, where it was he played a bunch of greatest hits of the past Lollapalooza, but then he had present day acts do little online stuff, and Porno for Pyros got back together and did all this stuff. And I wish they would try and do that and have a fundraiser, a benefit.
They could do a whole huge festival,
but just bring attention to it because. With the changing in how, you can't make any money off of digital Spotify anymore, except for collector stuff. No one's buying physical albums. Yeah. So it's merch and touring and you need places to play your music and to sell your merch. If you don't have that, you're fucked. And so I don't understand the disconnect there.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of things, I look at them, I'm just like, man, this is shocking. But it keeps different things that are against us keep happening over and over again. So my wife, she says to me, why do you even get surprised anymore? It's like, well, I'm not really surprised, but just disappointed, I guess.
Well, so I'd say this to my wife all the time, and I bet it applies to you. My wife is constantly let down by people because she expects people to be like her. And that's a faulty reasoning.
Yeah.
She's always let down by people who are selfish or shitty or conniving and all this other stuff. It's like you go into every meeting with every person expecting them to have the same ethic as you, the same morals as you, the same drive as you. And when you find out that they don't, you're let down. And, I'm not that you're I know you're not a naive person. You're probably as smart as they come in that regard, but you have this earnestness. And this is what I was bringing up at the beginning. And since I've gotten to know you in the past year, literally the first thing out of everybody's mouth is, oh, he's an amazing guy. He's a great guy. Like, Sean Kyle or Dan Byers or Greg Thacker or, Ray Roa.
Well, it's a community though.
Well, it is,
but
to be in your world and do what you do and have that be what everybody says about you, that's quite an achievement.
I've tried to be fair with people over the years.
Yeah.
I really have. When I got started in this industry, one of my favorite quotes, and I have it at the bar, was that Hunter S. Thompson quote that the music industry, is I don't remember. I can never remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but it's something to the effect. It's something to the effect of, and so don't take it verbatim. I don't want to.
He's dead. He's not going to have a problem with it.
But offend any of his followers because I love the guy to death. But it's something to the effect of that the music industry is filled with murderers, lives, thieves, and rapists.
Yeah.
And then it says something like there's also a negative side at the end of it. And I used to have that quote in my office at the Masquerade in Atlanta too, because I knew I was going to deal with a lot of shitty, shady, seedy individuals on a regular basis.
Right.
But you also meet a lot of great people too.
Yeah.
And you become an ambassador, for the great things about your business. And there's, like Billy Joel talks about the drinking clash, it's, you meet some really good people that really care about music and a handshake means something to them.
A lot of people that find their way into bars are beautiful souls that have a real hard time.
Yeah.
Living at the frequency that you need to get through this life.
Yeah.
And that's where booze enters the picture. So,
sure.
I've people are tired of hearing me talk about my two alcoholic parents, who I think are the two of the most beautiful, that passed away, but two of the most beautiful people in the world.
Yeah.
But that empathy, that raw nerve that you have, that the world just gets at you. A lot of people, find their way to bars. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, but a lot of beauty, just amazing people that come through those doors.
Yep.
So, how do we fix this? I mean, what do we do?
I don't know, man. This is tough. I mean, I think the only thing we can do, and once again, it's, you look at what Florida has done, you can't tell people if they have the opportunity to play, not to play. Nobody's
So that was
saying
something I wanted to talk about too, is the problem is you have a lot of different needs coming into this. Like even you mentioned New World Brewery, and I could be completely off here and I don't want to step on any toes, but they closed and then reopened recently, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were closed for almost 2.5.
Right. So
2.5 years. And then they opened right in the middle of this pandemic.
Well, so this is my point, is a bar that's been in business for X amount of years, a decade or whatever, versus a bar that was scheduled to open right when everything got shut down. They're not coming at this from the same place, are they? I mean, some bars like, we need to make this much profit in our first 6 months or we go under.
I do not. That's what I'm saying. Like everybody's in a different situation. You know, so
that's why it's so hard to kind of have this,
they've got to do what they've got to do.
Yeah.
And artists, there's artists that are like, I have to play, like I have to make money.
They're going to go back to being a barista,
they got to get their gigs. So, the only thing I would say to those people is just remember that we're not where we need to be yet. And that the only way we're going to get back to where we were is if we get this funding from the federal government. That's all there is to it. I mean, I'm a realist. I don't try to base things on fear or anything like that. But anybody will tell you that unless we get this funding, that things will not go back to normal. Where it could go back to normal, where we'll see tours again and see places like mine hosting shows like that again. It could be next year in the spring or the fall, or if we don't get this funding, a lot of places are going to go out of business.
What about
and then you won't see the tours for 3 to 5 years.
Oh, it's going to kill me.
If ever again.
It's going to kill me.
And
you've got nothing booked for the rest of the year, right?
Man, I've got so many things on the calendar that are not going to happen. You know, that I'm just waiting for them to say, hey, some things have rescheduled 4 or 5 times already.
So it's not going to work right now because you got everybody blowing up everybody's phone, vote for this person or vote for that person. But I was wondering about like a call center, like people calling bars and saying, this is the message you've got to put out there. This is the message you've got to get behind. We need to have solidarity. Yeah. We need to be communicating this to our government. We need to be communicating this to our local people. And like, how do you get that in the ears of the people who need to be repeating it?
See, like I said, that's basically what I've been saying on my social media.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is because I'm not open, this is what I work on every single day.
Yeah.
And so I have the time to do it. So when 90% of the businesses are open, even businesses that should also be supporting this, because it could help them, or artists that should be supporting it because it could help them. A lot of these people are already playing out on the weekend, or they have a normal job and then they're playing out. So they don't feel like they have the time to be as involved in the fight. I
just wonder how you get the message.
Or they get distracted.
Yeah. It's like B2B. It's like a business to business messaging. Like, how do I get everybody on the same page?
The other thing I will tell you is this, and I mean, it's life. I think. I just think it's sad, but I think it's just how things work. Myself and other bar type people were very supportive to help get the restaurants open.
Yeah.
And when I say restaurants, I mean real sit down dining type places. Once they got open, they have a whole nother thing to worry about because they're open. They've got to make sure people are distanced. Trust me, I don't want that fight either. I feel for these restaurant owners that are trying to keep their place open through this pandemic because they have to bend over backwards. And then you've got people that don't want to listen to the rules. They don't want to obey. But now the restaurants are focused on themselves. So once we got open, even though we supported, or once they got open, even though we supported them, we don't have their support anymore because they're too busy trying to keep themselves in business.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. Like our industry, it has become so small now because legitimate, real, places that opened with the sole purpose of being concert venues, we are few and far between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't open.
It's a hard business to be successful in.
Right. I didn't open as any other thing than I'm going to be a concert venue.
Yeah.
You know, and then we started doing Old Dirty Sundays once a week. Before that, we did our leader night because I do believe, and this is, everybody knows this, when you have a room, you have to do one weekly.
Yeah. As
your bread and butter. Everybody does it.
Yeah.
But that was who I was. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to do it better than anybody else. And this is what I'm going to do. It wasn't, we're going to be a restaurant, host shows sometimes, or a multifaceted, it was just, I'm strictly a venue.
Yeah.
I'm going to host all types of music. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to be the best mid-sized venue, not just here, but in the Southeast region. And that was always my goal. But once again, that's a very small industry.
Right.
And we're not allowed to open right now.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it, unless I switch to a restaurant license, which once again, could I do it? Yes. Do I really want to do it? No, because it's not going to solve the problem. It does not. It'll put once this fight is over with, if we've gotten the money or we didn't get the money, then if I have to, maybe I'll switch to the restaurant license because there'll be nothing left to do at that point. But
so are they going to vote on it? Is it going to go to the floor? Are they going to vote on it?
The Save Our Stage is we're supposed to know something by the end of September.
Okay.
I'm surprised we haven't got it yet. But once again, what keeps happening is because it's so close to the election is that, we just saw what happened with the post office bill. When they wanted to lump stuff in, now we're not going to lump it in. It's just going to be the post office. We don't want anything else in there. People are trying to fight for every little thing they can, sneak a little something in here.
Well, wait till two hurricanes come through.
And now 2 hurricanes are coming through.
We got an asteroid coming.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is we're not equipped to put out so many fires at one time.
It's a lot going on. Or
fires of this magnitude.
We got to clean our floors. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw that when Trump was talking about the California wildfires. Once again, I tried to tell them, clean your floors. They're not doing enough to clean their forest.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
None of this has to do with climate change at all.
Right. How's your staff doing? Are you keeping in touch with them?
I'm trying to keep in touch with them. A lot of them have picked up other gigs. I had to stop paying them when that last thing happened. I mean, once I was told, you're not going to open, it could be 6 months before you open. I just had to tell them, listen, guys, this is going to be it. Try to find what you can. It's the reality of the situation where we might be in this situation until 2021.
That's a conversation I've had with a lot of attorneys. Like, what impact will we see in the legal field of service people being out of work? And to unpack that, I worked in the service industry, and there's all types of people that work in that industry, but there is a certain part of that community that without a job, without a direction, without an income, you can start to see them in the courthouse more. And so that's something that
security guards.
Yeah. Well,
some bartenders do.
Yeah. But I
mean, it's really, you have a lot of career servers, career bartenders that, I mean, where do these people go?
Yeah.
You can't get on the unemployment website. That's why I try to take care of everybody as long as I did. Cause I'm like, this is, the way they should have been taken care of, they weren't being taken care of. So what do? You try to take care of them yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to not know the answer, but to know what's happening is not the answer.
No,
that's different.
I mean, the only thing we can do really is, like I said, keep pushing forward. And to the people that are already open, we need your support. Especially like I said, in our community, for every $1 we spend, $12 we spend on the other businesses around us. So in Ybor City, even if you're a restaurant or you're a bar that serves food, that you're already open, because Ybor, if you go to Ybor on a Friday or Saturday night,
you sent me pictures of people passed out on the ground. Yeah,
people passed out on the ground. I won't mention any names of that place, but because, there are places that are actually doing bad things.
Yeah.
I don't think for a second that places like Ella's and New World, that places like that are doing something evil.
Yeah.
They're doing what they're allowed to do within the law.
Right.
And they're giving an outlet for those musicians that really need to play. And I think that that's fine. I do think that those people, we need your help. Please still continue to spread the message because we need this financial support for everybody else. But then if you go to Ybor, there's very little enforcement and it's a shit show.
Yeah.
It's a shit show in South Howard. And people are just taking advantage of the situation in a brutal factor. And it's like, wow, what is going on here? And it's just very hard for me to sit there and go, well, you know what? I'm just going to switch over this restaurant license just so I can open when I see shit like that. It really pisses me off.
You're a man of morals and integrity and principle.
I also just don't want to give them any more freaking money, dude.
Yeah.
To switch it over and put the restaurant equipment in that I would really never use. Because anybody knows.
Like food trucks and
everybody knows whenever.
There?
Yeah, everybody knows we always do food.
Yeah.
When it's a big show anyway. But now you're telling me that I have to license it that way, do my health inspection that way, put one of the many food vendors that we use on my payroll.
Yeah.
So they can be the kitchen manager and then put the equipment over there and use it as a prep station behind one of my bars. I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
I look at it, I'm like, that is just stupid. It's less sanitary than what it would be if you would just let me fucking open,
What are you doing as far as self-care? What are you doing that is giving you the ability to get up every morning and just take it on the chin again?
This last few weeks have been tough. And I think the main reason for that is that so many people have moved on that I've seen, our numbers in the state are going down, but we still don't have too much communication on when we will be able to open. The schools are starting. So now my wife has that additional stress. But I mean, honestly, I think I just have an endless drive, man. I'm very stubborn. I'm very, very stubborn. And in Sinclair's documentary,
I love that you guys are working together.
Yeah, I mean, I love Michael.
Well, there's all these Checker, you, Sinclair, right? Like all these guys.
There's still Ray Roa.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got support. I've definitely got local support that I need from the arts.
Yeah.
And from various aspects of the industry, in addition to just the venues themselves. But one of the quotes that I told Michael, one of those was, and I don't know if it was from when I was bullied as a kid or from when I boxed in high school and stuff, but I've always just had this mentality.
It's hard for me to picture you being bullied as a kid.
When I was young, I was very awkward. You didn't have
that full beard.
No. I mean, I was very awkward. I pulled my pants up way too high. I was just a weird kid.
Yeah.
A lot of kids are weird kids. And I got beat up a lot until I started doing the weights and started boxing. But I told him, and it's true, there would be guys that would fight and they could fight a buddy of theirs and then they would just fight. I had to hate the person I was dealing with.
Yeah.
I've sometimes if I have a goal in front of me that I'm trying to reach, I will make a reason to be angry about it. You know what I mean? I have
That's
to.
Like Jordan. I don't know if you watched that Jordan documentary, but
we joked about it on our In Hot Water podcast because they says, "Oh, who do you think you are, Michael Jordan?" I said, "No, but I understood it." Because some people just need that. They need to create that animosity.
Yeah.
I do that. I look at it and I go, well, that's fine, because I'm going to fight to get open. And when I get open, you better watch out because I'm going to remember every single person that I felt betrayed me, in the meantime, and I'll get them. Now, that being said, I think once we get open, I'll forget about a lot of those things because I'll put it in the rearview mirror and everybody will be safe. But if you ask me for motivation, that's what I have to do. I have to look at it like it's all out war, no matter what, until we get. And I told my wife that the other day because she says, I just want you to feel at peace again. I said, listen, if we get the Save Our Stages grant, once we get that grant and I know that money's secured, I won't give a shit what anybody's doing for the next year.
Right.
And if I decide I want to open after that for various things, I will. I do have the 2 fundraisers in September scheduled. We're doing an art show on September 12th, and there'll be drinks to go.
What type of art show?
We're calling it Ybor Art Revival,
Okay.
And it's just a lot of the different. I don't know if you're familiar with Artista Lulu and her husband Indie Rock. They've hung art all over town. They've done murals all over town, and they've hung their art at Old Dirty Sundays for years. So I have them, and then they've got a bunch of artists. I've got food vendor out there, Jason Rodriguez, doing food out in the beer garden, and then I've also got DJ Casper and Fader spinning, and we're doing two. We're doing it from 2 to, I think it was 3 to 6 and 6 to 9, and we're doing limited amount of people, but it's going to be a legitimate art show. We're going to hang a bunch of art inside. It's an actual art show. There
awesome.
won't be like a lot of dancing or anything. It'll be a realistic art show. There will be drinks, like I said, to go, unless they've changed the law by then. Then we'll do drinks there like you would at any other art show.
Sure.
You get a glass of wine or whatever while you're walking around. And then we're doing, of course, the virtual Vibes of the Bay on September 26th. And all the proceeds of that are going to Crowbar as well as Save Your Stages.
Okay.
They've been doing that. This will be the 6th year. This will be the first year we've done it virtually. It's Creative Loafing's critic for best local music celebration. We're going to be doing that. Our goal is to raise $20,000.
Please, after this, give me information so I can push that on this.
I sure will.
So the 10 people that listen.
We're going to do the links for Crowbar. We're also going to do the links for SaveOurStages.com.
Sure.
So they can give to the local. They wanted to do it for me because I've hosted it 5 out of the 6 years, but we also talked about putting the SaveOurStages.com on there so they can give money, because we need money too.
Yeah.
NIVA needs money to keep this fight going. We have a lot of costs.
They're the tip of the spear, right?
We're hoping to raise $10,000 for Crowbar and $10,000 for SaveOurStages.com. It'll be from like 2 to 10:30 on that day. And we're going to have artists virtually from Florida, Brooklyn, Nashville, Bodega, and the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to have a virtual food vendors.
Virtual food vendors.
Well, you can order on the website, and the food will be delivered to your house, or you can pick it up. So I've got a list. I've got a list of area restaurants. I'm not mad at all the area restaurants.
Okay.
All the restaurants think they're my enemy right now, but they're not. I love my restaurants, and I've got a list of ones that I'm going to be hitting up in the next 24 to 48 hours to see if they want to be a part of it. So you could, the thing's getting ready to start. You go to the website, you order from Shuffle or Nebraska Mini Mart or Tequilas, and you get your food. You sit down. You can order drinks from Crowbar that will be delivered to you.
Oh, wow.
And then you watch the virtual show over 8 hours right from your house. Those places, some of those restaurants I've listened will be able to show it at their restaurants in-house.
I do love the creativity that's come from the necessity. I was texting you. I had this. 2 of my loves in this world are Queens of the Stone Age and Dave Chappelle. And so Queens of the Stone Age are from the Palm Desert, and they always have this hallowed history of generator parties where all the people on speed and all the motorcycle gangs and all the musicians would go out in the middle of the desert, and they plug into these huge generators and just play through the night. And they weren't at a venue. And then Chappelle just did his 846 stand-up routine.
That was incredible.
The George Floyd one, where he was out in the middle of Ohio in the farm, and everybody was distance. And I was thinking, like, how can we do like a generator Chappelle show that benefits helping Save Our Stages and that sort of thing? So we're going to have to come up with new ways to bring attention to it, bring money to it.
I think a lot of the technology that's come out, hopefully we keep using. I think the Zoom, I would have never thought, like, at any point that I would look at everybody's face.
You see that took a
3
shit today?
times a week. Zoom did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
With everybody starting virtual school. I had a mediation this morning.
I didn't have it today.
Everybody was having IT difficulties today with Zoom.
Well, it's been great. When you can sit there 3 times a week and you're talking to someone just like you from every state in the country, that's pretty cool.
Pretty amazing, yeah.
We've all talked. I've told everybody, I said, if we can achieve this goal, let's keep these relationships. Because imagine the synergy. If you get all these independently owned venues all over the country, and we're finally all know each other and we're working together, and we've talked about getting a big reunion once it's all over at one
Right.
of our businesses with our significant others and stuff. I mean, these people are great people, and they're suffering all over the country. You know, it's really sad.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a author, Thomas Friedman, who wrote a book, The World is Flat, and he talked about how, you know, the internet, social media, all these different things are bringing people closer together,
Mhm.
making it so much easier for people all over the country and all over the world to be able to, you know, do their thing, and how it's going to move us along a lot more quickly. So I'm hoping
If it doesn't destroy us.
yeah,
Because you got the bad side of it
you
too.
stronger. That's right. So before you go, what anything that I can do, or anything that people are listening can do? Like, can I, you know, people donate to something?
Well,
go to a website.
The virtual Vibes
write
of the
to your
Bay.
senator,
The virtual Vibes of the Bay. We're still looking for sponsors.
Okay.
I think those people from Symphonic Distribution are incredible business people. And I would suggest to anybody, if you have a business and you want to be a sponsor of that virtual Vibes of the Bay, that it's going to be worth the money.
Right.
You know, so I can get you that sponsorship deck.
Yeah, let me know about that.
And anybody out there, once this airs, that they're listening to
Hey, law partners, law firms out there,
everybody
attorneys.
should consider it, because you'll get your money's worth. Millions of people are going to see this event.
Right.
It's going to stream all over the country, all over the world. And then, you just got to keep hitting up your reps.
Do you make those numbers
like
available?
I said,
Are those on the NIVA website, or like,
if they go to the NIVA.org, or if they go to saveourstages.com, there's forms right there. It's so easy to fill it out. It's very simple. And then, like I said, the other thing is, if you're a business that's opened, please or an artist that's out performing, and I honestly, I want to put that, any rumor or anything that I have anything against any restaurants that are already open, it's not that at all. We just need your support too.
You just want everybody on the same
We need
team,
everybody
and working in for the same goal.
Definitely the best. Listen, here's the best way I can describe it. For a long time, when they would say the Alone Together, you felt like it. And when I watched the thing that Edward Stork and Michael did, the interview they did with me, and I had asked them, like, how long ago did we do that? You know, because it felt like 100 years ago. They were like, oh, it was mid-May. And I was watching that. And in it, I'm talking about community and how we all support each other and how we're fighting. We just got the restaurants open. When I watched it, I just felt alone.
Yeah.
I felt extremely lonely, because I felt like, wow, all these other people are open. There's a very small percentage of us that are still closed. So I'm assuming it would be easy to forget. If I was open, maybe I would forget too. But I want to let those people know that are out there and going on with their lives, like that there are those of us around the country that are not back to normal yet. And we are simply alone. And just like the saying, first to close, last to open, it could just be first to close. This is not a bluff. People are in a lot of trouble. And the last thing I would say is, I've explained to people, like, if these other venues close around the country, people say, is Crowbar going to be all right? And I've said this from the beginning. Crowbar's fine. Like, I was very smart about things. I have money that's set aside. But if the tour industry goes in the toilet for the next 3 to 5 years, I'm 46 years old. I've always told my wife, when this is all done, I just want to take the money and open up a retirement bar, like a little pub or something. If venues around the country close, I do not see myself just being a neighborhood place for the next 3 to 5 years until the tours start. It would make more sense for me to liquidate, split the money with my partners, and open up something else.
Yeah.
So for those of them that really want to support me, don't let this end for me now.
Yeah.
Let these tours continue.
Yeah.
Because I love this industry.
Yeah.
A lot,
Well, people are lucky to have you. You are an avenging angel locally. You're doing God's work, and
I'm trying, man.
As a fan of music, and what service you provide to the people here locally and the state of Florida, I can't thank you enough. And I wish you the best of luck. Wish Crowbar the best of luck. As always, please let me know. I'll put links out. I'll talk to people. I can get you lawyers, I can get you judges, I can get you all that stuff. So, hopefully we pull out of this. I pray, although I'm an atheist, I pray that there's one night in the future where I'm standing at Crowbar and I'm drinking a beer and looking over at you with a big smile on your face.
It's going to happen.
Everything is going to be okay.
Yes, I think it'll happen eventually. We just can't. We can't let these other people go.
Yeah,
it's like that movie Backdraft when the guy's like,
the guy.
He's like, "Don't let me go, bull."
Yeah,
and they say, "You go, we go."
We go. Yeah.
You have to have a foxhole mentality. I just don't believe in going forward until I know that we've saved as many of those other venues around this country, because I need them.
Well,
I need
you're
those
a throwback, but we're lucky to have you.
Not changing.
Thank
Not changing anytime soon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate you too.
All right. Talk soon.